Welcome to the Progtalks by the Progspace. Welcome to the Progtalks, an interview series by the Progspace where we will be talking to musicians in all corners of the progressive music scene. Welcome to the Progtalks with your host Rune, aka Uncle Prog, once again. Today I'm lucky enough to have with me none other than Ole Michael Bjørndal, which most of you probably know from Oak and also his touring with Airbag. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about his first solo album, Magnified as Giants. Welcome, Ole. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing quite well, I would say. Bit tired as I am on parental leave, and today the kindergarten was closed. But other than that, I'm quite happy, I would say.
Well, I'm glad you still managed to join me here. So congratulations on the release of Caligonaut's Magnified as Giants. It's been out, I think, 3 weeks today as we record this, right? Because it was out on the 26th of February.
Yeah, that's true. It's I think it's I always pronounce it Caligonaut.
Caligonaut, yes. Yeah.
So it's been 3 weeks, and I think it's been quite an experience.
How do you feel about the reception? Because you had a lot of positive, reviews and
almost a bit overwhelming, I would say. It's really fantastic to see the response, and also a lot of people have been saying that the album gets better for each time they listen to it, which I have experienced myself with different albums.
Absolutely.
So, and I think that's a sign both of quality and that the album holds some deeper meaning, or
exactly.
So I'm really a bit overwhelmed by all the reception and the positive words I've gotten. So yes, it's been quite amazing, I would say. But at the same time, my feet are firmly planted on the ground. But I would say that I'm very satisfied.
Yeah,
with this.
I'm glad to hear that. It must be nerve-wracking to put an album out which is sort of just yourself. So you've released albums with Oak, of course, and is it more nerve-wracking when it's a solo album like this is?
Yeah, absolutely. With Oak, I'm not a songwriter, and I'm more an associated performer, especially when it comes to the studio albums. So this is solely my project, and something that would not have happened if it wasn't for me. So of course it was quite a bit of nerves, but not much. I thought that whatever the reception is, I've done this, and I was satisfied with the way it turned out. So, and then I was a bit relaxed, but at the same time, I think I would be quite if people saying this, oh well, this wasn't that much. It would have been a bit disappointing, I think, because we worked a lot on it. So it's of course gratifying to I worked hard on an album and to get the positive response as well. It's good.
Yeah, I wanna go a bit into the background a little bit more deeply, because I agree with you. It is a album that grows a lot. I enjoyed it the first time I heard it, but over time, the songs keep you find new details. It seems like it's music that's meant to be listened to several times, and And I wonder, how long ago did you start working on this material? How long have you had this idea to make a solo record, and how was that process? How old are the seeds of these songs?
Yeah, I think the oldest is maybe the beginning, I think, of Lighter Than Air.
Yeah.
And some of the parts there are, I think, almost like 12 years old, I think.
Oh, I see.
So that's quite old. But at the same time, that song also contains the newest parts, because I had to make new parts in January 2020, because we realized that a part we had just didn't work. So I had to go back and make a new part. So that's both the oldest and the newest. And then you have I think the song Hushed is from 2014 up until 2018, back and forth.
Yeah.
I think Emperor is mostly between 2016 and 2018.
Yeah.
And Magnified as Giants is, I think I wrote 2018, around there, 2018, 2019.
Yeah, because it is, there are only 4 tracks on the album, but still it clocks in at over 50 minutes. So it is, in that way, truly progressive, with those typical long tracks expanding on the themes and so on. So interesting to hear that the last track, of course, Lighter Than Air, which also is the longest track on the album, coming in at approximately 20 minutes. That's the oldest and the newest sort of material written for the album. I'm really satisfied with how that turned out, that song. People have different favorites on the album. Some say the title track, some say Hushed is the best song they heard in years. This Prog in Netherlands wrote that in the review. Yes, yeah.
And some say Emperor, but also a lot of people have said Lighter Than Air is their favorite. I've seen on Bandcamp, and actually friends of mine who's not that into prog, who's not the typical prog fan, has said that Lighter Than Air is really good. And I think it's, for me, that song is almost sort of dreamlike. It's supposed to give you almost that meditative feeling, and I think we managed to get that through. Yeah,
I think what you just described is probably why it is my favorite on the album as well, because it does have that like meditative, atmospheric, almost like hypnotic state to it, where you drift off, and that also means that it's a long lasting track. Every time I listen to it, there's some new parts or some new elements that I pick up, and I really, really, really enjoy it. But then again, I have to say the entire album is very good. And I guess also, there's so many interesting, it's like reading about who you got to join you on this album. It's like a who is who of Norwegian proggers, and I just wanted to ask you, how did you get in touch with all of these people? I guess you know them as friends, some of them, but how did they all get involved with your album?
Well, start with the first one, obvious to mention, is Christian Hultgren from Wobbler, the bass player.
Yeah.
Because he was the first I got to know, and I consider him one of my best friends now. Because we were in a band together he put an ad in the old Norwegian music paper called Musikkpraksis.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And so we had a coffee at the University of Oslo, and we started a band and had some good songs. But the band dissolved in 2010, I think, 2009, 2010.
What band are we? What's the band you're referring to now? What's the name of the band?
Mirth Among Many.
Yeah,
was the band.
What stuff did you release stuff with that?
I think maybe something has been released, and some of the ideas there are maybe something that I will, because they're mostly my ideas that we.
I see. So that's almost like a Caligonaut before Caligonaut in a way, an outlet for your writing.
Yeah, it was, and then it sort of just died out. But I think we made. I think some of the ideas there can be revisited and try again, and some can be thrown away again. But it was an interesting time and very learning for me to meet Christian, and he introduced me to a lot of different prog, of course. But I think his ambition with that band was also to move a bit away from the wobbler part. But he just not play like the 70s prog music. But then he moved on, but we continued as friends. I joined Oak, and that was in 2012, and in 2013, Airbag asked me to be in their live,
like a live musician, yeah.
And that was Henrik, the drummer, who asked me in Airbag. He's the drummer on the song Emperor, and I actually know him before Christian because we went to Norwegian People's School, Folkehøyskole, as we call it, in 2001.
Yeah,
and we actually had a band together after that as well, but. We didn't release anything. We had 2 bands, I think, I've been in him with, that we made music, not typically prog music, but more like pop rock stuff. And when he asked me to join Airbag, and then I always had this album has been sort of in the back of my mind for a long time. And I went to Wobbler concerts. I got to know Lars when we recorded the Mirth Among Many.
Yeah.
So and I knew that he was a really good both mixer and keyboard player, and had all the right sounds for this album.
Exactly. He's a man of many sounds, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. So and then you had Andreas Wilthagen, or who I always admired tremendously for his vocal abilities. I think he's a truly amazing singer, and
I agree,
he has his own studio. And since I'm not experienced vocalist, I wanted to both ask him to record me, because I cannot record myself doing vocals. That would just be that's not recommended, I think.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, unless you're very experienced.
Yeah. And then you and he could also do like backing vocals, and he also performed like the answer on the first verses of Emperor.
Yes.
So that was I always wanted like that dialogue thing in the beginning of that song for him to do the answer thing. So that's sort of it. It wasn't my intention to sort of like ask all these people in Wobbler, but well, why not?
Yes. So you ended up with a lot of the Wobbler guys involved through friendships and earlier connections, and
So it's not like I've just intruded on them. It's we've had a musical relationship for long.
I see. You knew each other for a long time. Yeah.
And Christian was always encouraging with regards to making this album. So he's gotten an extra thank you in the liner notes. And then, of course, I needed drums, and then I knew Arild Brøter from Pimlico.
Yeah,
I didn't know him, but Henrik actually spoke very, very highly of Arild's drumming capabilities, and he had his own studio, and I knew it was very tight. He's a good drummer, very experienced, and also good on recording. So I asked him to play drums on the two of the songs, and also I recorded all the guitars and stuff like that at his studio in Uppsala, Norway. And we also did bass there, so and the drums, because he's a quick, he's fast in the studio, and he's at the same time I could like make him help me with my weaknesses, and
I see.
He was someone I didn't know him before this, but now we're quite good friends, I think. So that worked out. We had a very good relationship in the studio. So I think he made me like perform at my best.
I see,
and that was as intentions of using him. And then, of course, we had Iver Kleive, the church organ legend from Norway.
Very interesting on Hushed, right?
Yeah. That's something I owe to my father, actually, because he worked in Iver is a church organist, and all the church organists in Norway, they work in churches. So and my father used to work in the church here in Bærum.
Okay.
And in 1996, Iver and Knut Reiersrud played on Spellemannsprisen live, like Norwegian Grammy live on.
Yeah. Norwegian Grammys.
They played this really good arrangement of an old hymn, and I hadn't heard of them before, but I was just, whoa, what
Exactly.
My God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And then my father said that, well, that's Iver Kleive. I work with him. And he came home 1 week later with a signed CD. And then Iver and I played together in my parents' 50 years. They had a joint birthday.
A shared birthday, yeah.
Yeah. So I played with him before, and then I called him up when sort of the song Hushed was more or less, the frame was there.
Yeah.
And I knew that if I always had, like, if you listen in the demo to Hushed, that's quite funny to listen to that now, because that's just a lone guitar playing da 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 da, like the chords.
Yeah, I see.
But I knew that you have to just fill up here, and of course the church organ on that track is really powerful.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So and I knew that if I could get him to do something there, that would sound really epic. So that was quite, and I was so thrilled when he said yes. So I could. So I went up to him. He's living not very. I think it's like a 10-minute walk from me where I live.
Yeah.
So and he has a church organ in his living room. So I went up to him and we went through the song, and then we went to Helgerud Kirke and recorded. I think it took just about a couple of hours, and he was done. So it's
professional, very professional guy.
Yeah, he's a musician.
Exactly.
I'm just an amateur.
Exactly. He's really like you say, is like a very professional musician, and I say I he added so much to that track. I think it's interesting to hear what someone like him can add to the music. It's very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But then you also have one of the Åsa from Mer, right? Also on your album. Which they released an amazing album just recently as well, which sort of brought them back to my attention. So when I saw that she was on your album, I was like, oh, I have to ask him how he got in touch with her.
Yeah, she's actually a neighbor as well.
Oh, really? It's just friends. It's just friends and neighbors.
It is actually.
That's kind of funny.
No, she that's Christian, because Åsa has also played with Wobbler.
Oh yes, of course, yeah.
And that was Christian suggested her for when he had heard the demos and stuff like that violin would be nice here.
Yeah.
And then I had some. I started thinking and developed some parts. And then she also does that amazing choir arrangement all at the end of Emperor.
Yeah.
That was just her idea, because I actually asked her to play violin there, but then we went to the studio and she said, "Oh, I really want to do this choir thing," and it was just perfect. It was amazing what she did there.
Yeah.
So, but no, that was Christian. So who and she also performs on the latest Wobbler album, I think.
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
And I think the Mayor album, I've listened to that several times. It's
yeah,
really
me too.
Good.
It's a really, really interesting album. In general, the Norwegian prog scene is so, there's so much impressive stuff going on, so much growth. And, adding your project now to that is just like really, really nice. Do you feel like that's a boon to be part of such a what can I say, lively scene with so many good albums and musicians being active? Is that a boon to someone like you wanting to release music?
What does that mean? Boon.
Is that a good, a positive thing to be part of such an active scene?
Yeah, of course. I think in all frankness, this album would not have happened had if not for those other people.
I see.
Yeah. Of course, it would not have happened if I didn't exist. But to make it sound as good as it does would not have been possible without those the participation of those individuals. So it's a really good benefit, and of course that the involvement I've had with Oak and Airbag has of course affected me positively also, given both experience as a player and in the studio. So I think it.
And I'm thinking the fact that Norway also has labels like Charisma and, of course, Apollon to be a home for Norwegian prog bands and artists is a great thing.
Yeah, it's amazing what has taken place in the last years, and now we're actually starting to get some attention in the newspaper as well.
Oh yeah,
I think both Wobbler and Airbag and I think Mayor, they're playing tonight, I think, in Hamar, and I think the press has started to write more about Norwegian prog music, not only Motorpsycho, I think.
No,
it's and they have become more proggy, I think.
They have absolutely the last two albums. I would agree with you, but they like you say, they've always been like favorites of the bigger Norwegian music press, and it's good to see that other bands in the same landscape also now draw some attention from like bigger Norwegian newspapers and media. Then it's not only like the small fanzines or whatever or online services. It's also something that you can see in a big daily newspaper, and I'm happy to hear that. If you are enjoying this interview, please head over to theprogspace.com for more reviews, articles, pictures and interviews all about progressive music. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. theprogspace.com. I wanted to move a bit along then, because we are the name of the band and the name of the album is quite interesting to me, and I wanted to ask you, where does that name and that title come from? Not only the meaning of it, but also why did you choose those titles or names, and is there some kind of spirituality or philosophical meaning behind it?
Yeah. It's if you take Caligonaut first, that's two words, Caligo, and not, which is they are Latin words. Because and Caligo means mist or twilight, dimness. So like something that's a bit unclear landscape. And naut is like an astronaut,
a wanderer,
like a traveler. And I had this. I was thinking, should I release it just under my own name? But that's a bit boring. So, and I was, what should I call this? And then I looked at the lyrics I'd written, and I think that you have the first line in Hushed, like blanked out, silent, giving me a hushed grey world, which is sort of like a reference to some fog, mist, or dimness. And also in when I speak of in Lighter Than Air, it's that time of year again when the rain comes down hard and the ground boils the water for us to drink the mist. So I kind of like those images.
You had a theme there going on with
And at the same time, I also like, if you look at Emperor, that's more political, and I think also that the political landscape is also something that has become increasingly complex. So and we all trying to sort of to figure it out. So we're trying to navigate like naut. So I thought, okay, we need some, if we put this two words together, maybe we have a theme here. And I think that's, it kind of reflects a bit how I feel also, that the world is a bit misty and foggy. But we just got to try our best to travel along. So I think that's, I'm really satisfied with how that word turned out. So, or managed to actually create a new word. I think so.
It immediately caught my attention because I was like, oh, what is this now? And also the title of the album, Magnified as Giants, is sort of conjures up a lot of, thoughts and ideas. So what's the sort of the thoughts behind the title?
I've seen various different interpretations of that title. For me, and or the song, that's almost like sort of like a youthful, naive thing where you're maybe in a relationship, in love, and that you sort of lock the entire world out, and there's nothing there that can harm you. There's no threats to you. You're just things are very perfect, and you sort of like you are so big up on the love that you almost feel like a giant. And you almost in your mind you blow yourself up to be like a giant, or something similar to a giant. So you have this very big feeling in your heart. And as in the song, of course, that it's sort of like almost like a memory that you're trying to lose as well, because it has, you have magnified it so much that it almost taken over. So that's one of the interpretations I've, or for me, that's the interpretation of it. I think just about now, but I've also seen that others have taken sort of more like a human spirit, and that we just there's some sort of sense to just keep going. And I really like that interpretation. I think it was Progressive Rock Central or something who wrote very profoundly about the lyrics, and I also like that interpretation. So when it comes to words, I think that people should also be open to their own sort of interpret.
I totally agree, and I think that's also why lyrics like on your album is you can see that they are good because people can interpret them through their own background, their own, lens to it. And it means that just like with the music, the lyrics also continue to grow through. I'm sure you've had the experience yourself with some of the music you love, that if you listen to it when you're 20, the lyrics mean something else than when you listen to it as a 30-year-old. And I think that's poetry. That's real good songwriting. So I have to wonder then, can you envision this music being performed live? And if so, how would you put together a lineup for this? Because I could imagine getting all these fantastic musicians together to do concerts would be very difficult. So what's your take on that? Is that something you're considering?
Yeah, I'm considering it in a long-term basis. Of course, now we're basically back to a lockdown in Norway, and I was very. So like when the release was, I knew that it wasn't going to be a release gig either way. But I think that it's absolutely possible to get a band together. I know that some of the people are quite easy to get along or get to come along, and maybe we have to get some other personnel on some of the parts. Of course, like Iver Kleive, you can't drag him around.
No.
I think maybe it's possible actually to get him to play one gig.
Yeah, for a gig in Oslo or something, you could do it. Yeah,
could try, but I think that in a long-term perspective, that's it's something that I want to try and make it happen. But a lot of things has to get or to fit together to make that happen. But it's I think it's possible, and it's something that I would say that I have in the back of my mind, and right about now I'm trying to just take care of my son.
Yeah, exactly.
But, and practice guitar like at an hour a day, but that's everything I
have time for.
Yeah. So, but I think yes, as I said, in the long-term perspective, and I remember then when I started really working on this album, I thought that I would release it on the 25th of January 2020, which was my 38th birthday.
Oh yeah.
And then of course 1 year and 1 month passed, and was 26th of February 2021. And I was quite relaxed about that, and I think that maybe I should have the ambition to have a release gig around my 40th birthday in 2022 or something like that. Just to try and have a goal, and if I don't manage that, then I can postpone it a couple of months. I don't know, but I'll try to do it.
Yeah. So thinking on that way with the timeline, are you writing new music? Will there be a second album from solo album?
Yeah, I certainly hope so, and I have several ideas that I want to make happen. I was actually, right before we started talking, I was sort of developing an idea I have. So there's another album in the back of my mind.
Glad to hear that. And then I have to ask because of course you told me that a lot of the ideas on this album are quite old. They've been in your mind for many years. So will this new material, or do you think it will change your project? Do you think it will will it continue on in more or less the same style as on this first album, or do you have sort of a new things in mind?
Yeah, both. Well, this album is quite varied. I think it starts off quite rough and almost like Black Sabbath-y in the beginning, and then it more goes into really old progland with the 70s synths and stuff like that. So
exactly.
And I don't want to, and I like that. I think so, and I think that being in that genre, you can more or less decide. And since it's my project, I'm the dictator, so I can decide where to which ideas and what is possible to do here. I think, and I like a lot of the sounds that we managed to get on this album. So, but since it's progressive, you should always try to develop yourself, I think. So, yeah. But I think it's impossible to make a Magnified as Giants 2, and it's not desirable as well.
Either,
but
no.
But of course, it will be in some sense or another. It will be in the same landscape. There, I think some of the ideas I have are a bit different, a bit newer, and then of course I have some old ideas, and so try to mix it up.
I see. Well, I think that's a good place to end it for us. With the coming up plans for you and your solo work, and but at the end I want to ask, Oak has a lot of fans and the last album was released in 2018, False Memory Archive, right? So is anything happening in the Oak camp? Can we expect anything from them, from you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I've recorded one guitar part already on one song, and I just gotten in my email yesterday, I think, some new songs that I'm going to play on, and I know they've been recording also with Stefan Winden from Pimlico, who's the other guitar player.
Yeah.
He actually plays a minor part on Hushed as well.
Yeah, so he's also on the album.
Yeah. I really enjoy his company, and he's. I think our companionship in Oak is really good. So I'm so glad that I could put his name on and put his performance on the album. I think so. We're working on finishing the third album, and the songs I've heard are really good. I think it's it's recognizable Oak, but still always developing
something new.
Yeah. So because the really good musicianship that those guys are putting forward. So
absolutely.
So I think that. That album is something one should look forward to, and it's being worked on as we speak, I think. So
well, I sure am looking forward to that. The last album was absolutely fantastic, and I'm glad to hear there are new music being worked on, so we can expect more music from Oak, and then further on more music from Caligonaut, which is also something I'm looking forward to. So thank you everyone for listening to this. It's very appreciated. Please like and subscribe and follow and all that stuff, because it helps us. And you should also check out Caligonaut on Facebook and Bandcamp. Follow there, and they can find your music on all streaming platforms, right? And also, people should even better go to Bandcamp and buy the album, because Ole deserves to have some sales on this amazing album. There's both vinyl and CD, right?
And actually, if I can say something, I'm really happy with the cover and the artwork, and it's a bit special for me because it's my sister. Who's made the drawings, and I was up at Eve the other day and gave him the vinyl.
The vinyl,
and he was like, "Wow, this is amazing drawings." So I think the vinyl itself with the gatefold is it's a small work of art. I think
it's an artwork,
yeah. And and what she did was actually because I asked her, you're an artist, I want an album cover.
Yeah.
And so she bought like a big black book with really thick paper and started painting with watercolors and different crayons and different things she uses. And so she made like 13, 14 drawings, I think. And we picked out the best ones, and we even managed to put her art on the B side of the vinyl. So if you look at it, it's the small art there, and on the CD as well.
Yeah.
So it's and several of her themes they're developing through the artwork in the album. So that's and I think it's cool when you look at, like, when you have albums that are released now, you have different, and that album cover always stands out as a bit different.
I agree. It's something. It's nice to have an artist as well that is not, known for creating album covers. So you have a bit of uniqueness there, and it's another good reason for people to get the physical album, because you can't really enjoy the artwork of an album in the same way when you're just listening to Spotify or iTunes or whatever. So I see the white vinyl is already sold out, but the black one is still available. So I think people should head over and buy it right now. I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for being on the Prog Talks with me here, and have a good weekend. Yeah,
thank you, and keep up the good work. It's amazing.
Thank you. The Prog Talks, produced by the Progspace. Main host Rune Belsvik Reinås. Produced by Rune Belsvik Reinås, Vanessa and Matthias Kirsch. All graphics and animations by Vanessa Kirsch. Intro theme by Giuseppe Negri. Outro theme by Zach Munowitz. This was the Prog Talks by the Progspace. See you in a week.